Which NFL players get more hate than what they deserve? I'm here to give you guys my list of the league's most overhated players going into the upcoming season. And we got to start off with Chicago Bears rookie quarterback Caleb Williams. This dude hasn't even played a single down in the league yet, and he already has become one of the most overhated quarterbacks in the league. You got people saying he's going to be a buzz. It's just people just hate Caleb Williams' guts for no good reason at all. People don't like him because he got emotional after USC's loss against Washington. He cried in his mom's arms. Like, you're mad at a player for getting upset about losing? That's just so weird to me. People don't like the fact that he paints his nails different colors. We're in 2024 now, people. You guys should be used to these new age players who are light skinned and like to express themselves in ways that you probably see as non-traditional. But we're in a new age. This is a new era. And I don't care about what Caleb Williams likes to do with his nails, what he does in his free time. That's his business. All that should matter is if he produces on the field. How good is he going to be for Chicago? If he ends up living up to the hype, then all the stuff that he's getting hate for doesn't really matter. And I'm just so upset at the amount of people who just come at Caleb Williams for no good reason. This dude has been incredible off the field when it comes to bonding with his teammates. You know, his USC teammates had nothing but good things to say about him. His NFL teammates right now really love him. Keenan Allen and him already had a relationship prior to him entering the league. The Caleb Williams hate just is nonstop. Every time they make a post about him on Instagram from the NFL page, you always got people saying he's a bust in waiting. It's just, it makes no apparent reason at all or no apparent sense at all for somebody like Caleb, who's a rookie, to get so much hate despite not even playing a game yet. It's just, people seem to be rooting on Caleb Williams' downfall, and that's why he makes the list of being one of the NFL's most overhated players. What about Justin Herbert, man? This is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league, and yet people always call him overrated. How is he overrated? Where is Justin Herbert rated? We all should agree that Herbert is a top 10 quarterback in the game right now. He has one of the strongest arms. He's one of the most athletically gifted quarterbacks. And he's had to overcome terrible coaching his first couple of years in the league. And normally, when you're in the position that Justin Herbert is in at quarterback and you have to overcome multiple coaching staff changes, you normally end up being a bust. However, he's been the only reason the Chargers have had the small amount of success that they've experienced over the last couple of years. Brandon Staley's defenses were always garbage. And before that, he had Anthony Lynn as his head coach, and he wasn't even good. Justin Herbert with Jim Harbaugh this season is going to put all of the Justin Herbert is overrated crowd to sleep, because he's actually going to be able to be in a situation where he isn't going to have to carry a team by himself. He actually is going to have a good coach who's going to be able to field a good defense on the field, put a good offensive line in front of him, somebody who's going to give him a legitimate rushing attack. The Justin Herbert hate train, I'm not going to say I understand it to a full extent, but I somewhat understand where people are coming from. It's like, you're one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the game. You don't have a playoff win. And I get that. That is a fair criticism of him. You definitely have to hold him accountable for the Chargers choking that 27-0 lead against the Jaguars in the wild card round a few years ago. But we seem to forget that it's a team sport. And there were more reasons than just Justin Herbert not playing that good in the second half against Jacksonville for why they collapsed in that matchup. But just trying to pile all of the Chargers' shortcomings on Herbert is just ridiculous. If you had to pick between Justin Herbert, Tua, and Brock Purdy, we all know who you're picking. If you had to pick between Justin Herbert and Dak Prescott, we also know that the majority of people probably would take Justin Herbert. This is somebody who still has yet to have postseason success only because he's been in a poor situation. The Chargers haven't had any really good head coaches in the history of their franchise until now with the hiring of Jim Harbaugh. Justin Herbert, to me, I don't think that the hate that he gets is necessarily completely warranted. I think some of it is deserved, but most of it to me isn't, because people fail to realize that to be a successful quarterback in this league, to win in the playoffs, it takes more than just being a great quarterback. You need great coaching, you need a good team around you, and a good defense, and that's something that Justin Herbert has. In football, we all know that no quarterback can win without good protection up front. It's also important that you protect yourself from data brokers who sell your personal information online, to scammers, spammers, and anybody else who may want to target you. That's why you should use Aura, today's sponsor of this episode. Aura shows which data brokers are passing away your information on the internet and automatically submits opt-out requests on your behalf. Go to aura.com/JTSports in description or pin comment down below to get a 14-day free trial and protect your personal information from being exposed online. Cleaning up your information online not only helps reduce the amount of spam you receive, but it also protects you from hackers who could use this info to help gain access into your social media accounts, bank accounts, or other sensitive information. Go to our sponsor, aura.com/JTSports in description or pin comment down below to gain access to your 14-day free trial and protect yourself from hackers looking to gain access into your sensitive information online. Never had. Trevor Lawrence is another quarterback that gets overhated. He was playing at a really high level during the first half of the 2023 season until he got injured against the 49ers, and that's when his play started to tail off a little bit during the middle way to late portions of last year. He wasn't healthy, he was really inconsistent with his decision making, and there were games when Trevor Lawrence just looked off and he just looked rattled. But we can't forget about what he did prior to the second half of last season, having Jacksonville at 8-1 with the number one seed in the AFC at one point. And the year before that, he led them to a division title and a playoff win. Jacksonville doesn't have too many postseason wins, and it's been a very long time since they've experienced back-to-back winning seasons. That is because of Trevor Lawrence. And also, think about the impact that Trevor himself has had on the city of Jacksonville. Nobody was going to Jazz games prior to him getting drafted, and they definitely weren't getting primetime games on ESPN and NBC for Sunday Night Football. Trevor has made the Jaguars relevant, not just in the national media's eyes, but also in the Super Bowl conversation. As long as he remains the starting QB in Jacksonville, the Jaguars always have a chance to win a Super Bowl. I believe that he's that good. The only reason that he's getting the amount of hate that he's receiving right now is because people think that he's the most overpaid QB in the game based off what they saw in the second half of 2023. And the 2023 Trevor that we saw in the second half of that season is not the Trevor Lawrence that we saw in 2022 or in the first half of this year. People are going off what they recently saw out of Trevor instead of judging him by his overall body of work, which is pretty small. But to take Jacksonville the 2 straight winning seasons, an NFC South title, and to pretty much be the best quarterback that they've ever had says a lot for him to be this short into his career. Next up, we got Diontae Johnson. Diontae Johnson was traded from the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Carolina Panthers earlier during this offseason, and I was really upset to see him go as a Steeler fan. I felt like he was taken for granted in Pittsburgh. This is somebody who's one of the best route runners in the game, creates a lot of separation. He's also pretty good after the catch. He gets called a diva and a locker room cancer by Steeler fans, but I disagree with those sentiments about Diontae, because how are you going to be upset at a wide receiver for being pissed off because his quarterbacks can't get him the damn football? The dude had Mason Rudolph, Mitch Trubisky, and Kenny Pickett throwing him passes. You mean to tell me that you wouldn't be getting frustrated neither? He wasn't the only wide receiver who was visibly frustrated. George Pickens also had some moments when he got frustrated with the trash quarterback play. Going to Carolina is going to do dividends for Deontay Johnson's career, because now he's actually going to be with a good offensive mind and Dave Canales, who's going to find ways to get him the ball. You're going to have a quarterback in Bryce Young who's going to be better than what he had to work with in Pittsburgh this year, depending on if Bryce Young takes that next step. And everybody in the league is about to quickly find out just how underrated Deontay Johnson has been the last couple of years in the league. Because if you want to talk about one of the most underrated and underappreciated players in the game right now, Deontay Johnson definitely belongs in that conversation. This is everything that you want in today's age of what a good wide receiver looks like. Elite route runner, creates a lot of separation. The only problem with him is that his hands can be inconsistent at times. He has had a little bit of the dropsies over the last couple of years, but I'll take a 1,100-yard receiver that gives me 100 receptions, 10 touchdowns in a year, and maybe 7, 8 drops. I think for Carolina, getting Deontay Johnson is going to be a massive improvement to that wide receiver room this year, and he's going to help Bryce Young improve from his awful rookie season. Brock Purdy is the most overhated player in NFL history. You would think that somebody who was the last pick of the draft, who has exceeded expectations, who has beat the odds, took the 49ers to an NFC championship his rookie year, and then to a Super Bowl his second year, would get more respect. But instead, people try to find every single way to demean Brock Purdy for what he's accomplished this short into his career, trying to say he's a game manager, he's only good because of Kyle Shanahan in that system. If that's the case, why was Trey Lance a bust? Why did Brock Purdy take Trey Lance's job? If that's the case, why did Nick Mullins nor CJ Beathard end up looking like a franchise quarterback under Kyle Shanahan's system, since Brock Purdy only benefits from Kyle Shanahan calling the plays? I don't get the logic. Make it make sense to me for all you Brock Purdy haters out there. If Brock Purdy is only good because of Kyle Shanahan and the weapons that he has around him, why were CJ Beathard and Nick Mullins not the long-term answer at quarterback? What happened to Jimmy Garoppolo? Why was he the place? I'm waiting to hear it. But they won't tell you that, though. If Brock Purdy was a top 5 or top 10 pick, nobody would be giving him the hate that he's getting right now. It's really weird. Instead of giving this man praise for beating the odds, being Mr. Irrelevant, do you not know what Mr. Irrelevant is? It's a meme. They have a celebration for it because nobody takes it seriously. Nobody ever thinks that the last pick of the draft is ever going to turn into anything worthwhile in this league. Brock Purdy, before he got his first in-game action, had no first team reps. He also really didn't get a good understanding of the playbook until later on during his rookie season. And yet, from his first in-game action against the Miami Dolphins till now, he's been nothing short of dominant. He's been a top 10 quarterback ever since that Miami Dolphins game, man. That's how good he's been. He played at an MVP caliber level this year, and yet all people want to say is he's only good because he's throwing to Deebo Samuel. Brandon Ayuk has Kyle Shanahan calling the plays. Like, please, shut up! Because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You sound like a stupid casual when you call Brock Purdy overrated. Because I just told you that if Brock Purdy was only good because of Kyle Shanahan, why weren't Trey Lance, CJ Beathard, and Nick Mullins as good as what Brock Purdy is if he's a product of the system? And another thing that pisses me off about the Brock Purdy hate club out there is how they make it seem like being a system quarterback is a bad thing. Drew Brees was a system quarterback. Tom Brady was a system quarterback. There's nothing wrong with being a system quarterback. That means that the coach calls the plays and you run those plays to the best of their ability. There are so many things that makes Brock Purdy an elite quarterback that never gets talked about because Everybody's just so worried about hating on him. He throws with great anticipation, great timing, has great accuracy in the short intermediate ranges of the field. He's really good at escaping pressure, has a little bit of mobility to extend plays with his legs. He also can do some damage on the ground as well. He's a damn good quarterback, man. To me, he's the 7th best quarterback entering this upcoming season. And I'm a little bit annoyed with the amount of hate that he continues to get. People just make it seem like every quarterback that plays for Kyle Shanahan just turns into gold. When we just saw Trey Lance look like dog crap, and now he's on the Dallas Cowboys holding the clipboard for Dak Prescott. I'm so frustrated with the Brock Purdy hate, man. This is one of my favorite players in the league, and I hope he wins a Super Bowl. But you want to know what's going to make me even more upset if Brock Purdy wins a Super Bowl? People still are going to hate on him. They're going to say he only won a Super Bowl because of his supporting cast, when you need a good supporting cast to win in the NFL. Name me one quarterback that's won a championship with a terrible head coach and no good players around him. Please, I'm waiting, Brock Purdy haters. Please tell me a quarterback that's led his team to a Super Bowl with garbage coaching and a garbage team around him. Joe Montana played with Jerry Rice, a Hall of Fame coach, several Hall of Famers on his team. As a matter of fact, Russell Wilson played with a Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame caliber running back in Marshawn Lynch, had a Hall of Fame caliber defense with Richard Sherman. You feel me? Cam Chancellor potentially could have been a future Hall of Famer if he would have continued to play. Bobby Wagner. But people just want to push this agenda about how good Brock Purdy is because where he was drafted. We need to stop trying to equate where players were drafted to where their potential is. Just because you're the last pick of the draft doesn't mean that you'll be nothing better than the above average quarterback. You can be the last pick of the draft or day 3 draft pick and still turn into a Hall of Famer. Antonio Brown was a 6th round pick, and Tom Brady was a 6th round pick too. But you don't hear none of those guys ever receiving the amount of pushback that Brock Purdy gets for people wanting to anoint him as an elite quarterback. Like, the Brock Purdy hate is bullshit, and y'all need to cut it out. Y'all really do. You sound super foolish when you hate on Brock Purdy for him being a great quarterback. Because if he was just a product of Kyle Shanahan's system, then Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard, they would have been a long-term answer for them. But they weren't. Michael Parsons, normally when you have a Dallas Cowboy player that ends up getting a lot of hate, 9 times out of 10, they deserve it. But Michael Parsons, though, the hate that he gets, I think kind of overdoes it a little bit. Because this is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. Ever since his rookie season, he's been one of the best at his position. He also can play a lot of different roles on the defense. He can also be a stand-up linebacker, or you can just have him get after the QB. With his versatility and also the fact that he has done nothing but produce double-digit sack seasons every year in the NFL, but yet he still gets called overrated. People say he needs to spend more time training and focusing on the game than he does focusing on his podcast. And really, his podcast that he has with Bleacher Report is why he's starting to get so much hate, because I guess people have a problem with players having a platform and voicing their opinion on other things that are going on in the NFL, and people get tired of him making excuses for the Dallas Cowboys losing when he's a player. What do you want him to expect? Like, oh yeah, we lost the game. What else do you want him to say? Of course he's going to break down why the game went the way that it did. I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with Michael Parsons having a podcast. I don't agree with the narrative that he's nowhere to be seen in big games, because there's been plenty of big games that I've seen out of Michael Parsons the last couple of years where he's been a monster. Everybody has a bad game. You feel me? Even the best of the best have an off day here and there. Michael Parsons is a top 3, top 4 at worst pass rusher in this game. And I think that the hate that he gets is just a tad bit not necessary. Okay, I think that a good amount of it is warranted. But hating on the dude for having a podcast, man, come on, bro. He's just trying to get to the bag. He's just trying to voice his opinion. And I enjoy listening to Michael Parsons' podcast because he does have a really high football IQ. He does a really good job of breaking down the game for somebody like me to understand who isn't in the NFL. I like Michael Parsons, not just as a player, but as a person as well. I don't get the hate for him having a podcast and him voicing his opinion. Lamar Jackson, man, people been hating on Lamar Jackson ever since that general manager said that he needed to change to a wide receiver. You got people who still continue to throw out these corny, outdated running back jokes about Lamar. And when he won his second MVP, I thought that the Lamar hate would disappear, but people still continue to hate on Lamar Jackson, saying that he's the worst MVP in NFL history. Like, please stop talking, dog. Do you know who has the second best win-loss record in the NFL behind Patrick Mahomes? It's Lamar Jackson. Every time he's healthy, the Ravens are always in the conversation for the 1 seed in the AFC. And I'm not about to call him a playoff choker when he just led Baltimore to the conference championship game this past year. Do you not know how many other quarterbacks failed to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs? There's only one active quarterback in the league right now that has a postseason win against Mahomes, and that's Joe Burrow. That's it. So if you're going to call Lamar Jackson a playoff choker and he's overrated, you have to have that same energy with Josh Allen, Tua Tagovailoa, and all of the other quarterbacks that have fell victim to the greatness of Patrick Mahomes. To me, from a talent standpoint, Lamar is one of the most talented quarterbacks in NFL history. Find me another quarterback that has the athleticism that Lamar Jackson possesses, with the ability to throw the football with precision and accuracy from within the pocket like Lamar can. You can't. He's one of one. There is no Lamar Jackson. He is a way better version of Michael Vick. Michael Vick even admitted that Lamar Jackson is way better than what he ever was. He didn't get to Lamar Jackson's ability to throw the football until later on in his career when he teamed up with Andy Reid in Philadelphia. The Lamar Jackson hate train is just so unnecessary. And I just think at this point, if you're hating on Lamar Jackson, you just have nothing better else to do with your life, because in terms of what you want from your franchise quarterback, it gets nothing better than Lamar Jackson. Not only is he a class act on the field, all the players in the league love him, all the players on the Ravens team love him, but off the field, this dude does a lot for his community. He's always giving back. He's always making time to take pictures with fans. Like, there are a lot of NFL players that you'll come across in person and they'll at Hollywood. They won't even give you the time of day. They'll look at you like a peasant. But Lamar Jackson always makes time out of his day to put the fans first. He does a lot of charity work. He hosts a lot of camps for the youth. Like, how can you hate on Lamar Jackson? Like, if you hate on Lamar, I just think that you're a shitty person. Truthfully, and that may be a little bit harsh, but there's no reason they hate on Lamar Jackson at all. He's the second or third best quarterback in the game. He's a 2-time MVP. He has the second best winning loss record in the National Football League. Like, the Lamar Jackson hate is just so outrageous to me. And every time I see it, I just get so disappointed in NFL fans, man, because as much people who deserve to get hate, Lamar Jackson is not one of them, man. We got to do better. We really do. People who hate on Lamar, I really think they should be banned from having an opinion about the NFL. Because if you're just hating on Lamar Jackson, that really shows me that either you don't know football or you care more about trolling than you do anything else. And lastly, I got Kyle Pitts on this list for being one of the most overhated players in the league. This dude is not a bust. The only thing that has held Kyle Pitts back is garbage quarterback play. This dude had Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder throwing him passes the last couple of seasons up there in the A. Who the hell was going to produce good numbers with that much atrocity to work with throwing you passes? The last time Kyle Pitts had a decent quarterback was his rookie season, and that was Matt Ryan. And you saw how Atlanta did Matt Ryan, and you saw how bad the QB play has been ever since they got rid of him. With Kirk Cousins this year, we're going to see Kyle Pitts have a really big season, because now you're going to have a solid enough quarterback who can actually throw him the football. And now you got an offensive coordinator who's going to find ways to get him involved in the offense, and not a guy like Arthur Smith who is finding ways to get the backup tight end more involved than the dude who they took high in the first round years ago. So this is my list of the NFL's most overhated players going into the 2024 NFL season. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. What players you feel are overhated, who should be on this list, and who shouldn't be on this list. Who on this list do you agree with, and who on this list do you disagree, and who actually deserves the amount of hate that they receive?